Chapter 14, Your Life Plan. Earth Person. Martian, I'm still wondering how all this will turn out. How what will turn out? My life. I was thinking about it before, but we got off on another subject. Well, how do you think it will turn out? I don't know. All right then. How would you like it to turn out? Why do you ask me that? Because you already have in your mind an idea of how it will turn out. I do? Yes. Most Earth people plan their lives when they're very young. You're no exception. I planned my life when I was young? Yes. If that's hard to believe, I can't think of any plan I ever made. That's why I asked you to fantasize about it. You don't have your own permission to know your plan. You asked me to fantasize about it? Yes. When I asked how you'd like your life to turn out, I was essentially asking you to fantasize. Perhaps your natural child will reveal some of the plan if you just let your mind roam over some of the possibilities. You mean if I fantasize about it, I might come up with something I wouldn't otherwise think to say? Yes. Want to give it a try? Okay. Hmm. Let's see now. What I'd really like would be to live to be 75 or 80 and to live a very full life. I'd like to have the freedom to do as I wish, to travel a lot, and to not have to worry about where my next paycheck is coming from. How do you envision arranging for all this? Well, after I save up some money, I'm going to quit my job and take some time off to think about it. Why wait until you quit your job? Oh, I'm too busy now. So, I need time to sit back and relax before I can think about the future. Why is that? I don't know. It's just that it's too much of a burden right now to think about it. Oh, why is it a burden? That's hard to say. It just seems like it would be too much for me to do. Too much? Yeah, I've got enough to think about already. Enough? You're darn right. I have to think about myself and my family and keeping my job, at least until I find another. Sometimes just trying to survive is tough enough. Are you expecting me to accept that? What do you mean? It sounds as if you're trying to justify your inaction, as if you're trying to come up with an excuse that will satisfy someone else's parent, and just like you used to do when you were a youngster. But it can be too much for one person. Too much and enough are parent words. They're judgmental. So is the notion that trying to survive is tough. They sound like words meant to satisfy someone's parent, particularly a parent that has tapes in it about struggling and hard work. You mean it's a sort of excuse I give to get my mother or father off my back? Right. Now you're trying to get me off your back. You're trying to get me to accept the same excuse. You don't think it's reasonable, huh? What I think isn't important. However, if your own parent accepts it, you'll stop yourself from thinking any further about your life until after you quit your job. Well, what's wrong with that? Nothing in itself, but it uses up time. Are you saying that I should hurry instead? I just stopped doing that. I'm not saying you should hurry. I'm saying that you're stopping yourself from thinking about your future by waiting until you quit your job. If you keep stopping yourself, you may run out of time. You may have something there, but I've already accomplished a lot. I've moved to smaller quarters to save money. I went through all that hassle with my family and got them to go along. And as soon as I've saved some money, I'm going to start thinking about the future some more. Okay, I noticed that the word after seems to be important to you. You first said that you'd wait until after you'd save some money. And then you just changed it to as soon as you've saved some money, possibly to make it sound more appealing or to make the moment sound closer. But you're still not planning to do any thinking until after this event occurs. But what's the use of thinking about such things if there's nothing I can do about them? If I don't have the money to operate with, it's all just wishful thinking. Do you hear your parent in that statement? Oh, what? Saying what? Saying everything you just said. The whole statement about what's the use and the notion that thinking and fantasizing are wishful thinking. That is judgmental, isn't it? But it seems to make sense somehow. It's a good way to stop your natural child from fantasizing. What? By telling myself it's just wishful thinking? Yes. Oh, I think I see what you mean. People who succeed in life don't do that, do they? No, they do just the opposite. They fantasize so much that they make their dreams come true. But how? They learn about reality and then they fantasize about how they could change that reality to make it better or prettier or faster or smoother or more efficient or anything else more valuable. How does this make their dreams come true? They make their dreams come true by learning how to dream. Before starting to dream, they have a vision of something that's real, something they've seen or read or heard. Then they take in more reality data, information about how in practice their vision might be altered, and they pump it into their dream. What comes out is a dream that could come true, a picture of something that can actually be done or in some way made to happen. But how do they get the reality data to pump into their dream? They see it or they hear it. It must not be something they've been shown or told by someone else's parent. It must be information that is simply there, available to be seen or heard. And when they open their eyes and become available to see it, they simply see it. And how do they make their dream come true? It's all in the dream. They learn how to do it in the dream. Is this a dream they have when they're sleeping, or can it be a daydream? It's usually a dream they have when they're awake, at a time when they're enjoying life, in their natural child, and moving smoothly from reality to fantasy and back again. So the plan I have for my life may not come true because I don't know how to make it come true. The fantasy you told me about how you'd like your life to turn out may not come true because you don't know how to dream and make your dreams come true. But the plan you have for running your life will come true. It always does for all Earth people, unless they die prematurely in an accident or natural disaster. Well, what is my plan? That's what I want to know. Your plan may have several possible outcomes depending upon which path you take. You mean I can alter the outcome of my life by the various decisions I make along the way? Yes, if these decisions involve matters relating to the outcome of your life. Hmm. I think I'm beginning to get a glimmer. Like one path I might take would be to continue to wish for things but never get them. But another, if I learn to fantasize properly, would be to make my dreams come true, including my dreams about how my life will turn out. Correct. So far, your life plan has either directed you or permitted you to reach this point in your life. You're starting to examine the plan itself, and if the plan didn't at least permit this examination, you wouldn't be doing it. Now, the question is whether or not your plan will permit you to choose your own future. I've always had some nagging doubts about whether I'd ever get what I wanted. I guess that's why I've been so reluctant to talk about it. Your doubts are well founded. You keep stopping yourself. You take a step forward and then you immediately stop. You decide to wait for a while until after something else happens. Boy, this is really subtle. If I can trick myself this easily, how in the world will I ever be able to work things out? Just listen to your words. Watch what you do. Listen and watch how you stop yourself. When in doubt, you always get back to seeing and hearing, don't you? Always. Now, are you willing to give up your need to wait? I guess it really was just a last ditch attempt to make a struggle out of all this. It's amazing. I don't think I could have caught myself. It all sounded so reasonable. I know. Almost all Earth people go through their lives justifying the limitations they've placed on themselves. That's how they keep their life plan intact and stop themselves from getting what they want. Yes, but you still haven't answered my question. What? About giving up my need to wait? Yes. Yeah, I am willing to give up my need to wait. All right, then. Tell me how you're going to arrange things so your life turns out the way you want it to. Well, I'll have to prepare some in between steps. I don't know any way it can all work out right now, unless I make some provision for it to do so. Good. What do you have in mind? I'm not sure, but I've been trying to activate my natural child and to think or dream creatively. Just as we've been talking, I flashed on a picture of a piece of land I saw yesterday, just as an empty, vacant lot, and I envisioned how someone might build a house on it that would enhance the value of the property. Not a regular house, but a very special, attractive house. I also started thinking of a favorite pop tune of mine, and I thought about how they could have added an extra beat to the music Sort of an extra catch in the rhythm section to make it more appealing. That's a fine start. I know it's a start, but my problem is that it's too late in my life for me to become an architect, and it would take too long to become a musician. So being creative in these sorts of ways won't really help. I'm really stuck. I don't know what else to do. How are you keeping yourself stuck? I really don't know how I'm keeping myself stuck. Did you hear yourself that it's too late to become an architect? It would take too long to become a musician? Yes, I sure did. What part of you said it? I don't know. Not for sure, anyway. It was probably either my natural child or my adult. I certainly don't have all the time to go through all the hassle and years of study to learn those professions. My natural child doesn't want to do it, and my adult knows what a job it would be. What part of you said you would have to do that? That you'd have to go through all the hassle and years of study? Huh? What do you mean? How else could I make use of such ideas? I'd have to learn to expand them, formalize them, and put them down on paper. Do you know any other way? There are many ways. What part of you said there was only one way? Name another way. What part of you is speaking right now? Don't bother about that. Just name some other ways to use ideas about building houses and writing music. You seem to have a real urgency to stop thinking creatively. Huh? What do you mean? You stopped thinking creatively right after you started, and now you're much more interested in arguing with me. I am arguing, aren't I? Yes. Do you know how you got into it? Oh, I don't. Do you want to know? Yes, I certainly do. Okay, then. Let's get back to where we were a moment ago. What part of you said that you had to go through a lot of hassle and years of study to make use of your ideas? Well, I thought it was my adult or my natural child, but now that you're stressing the have to aspect, I guess it was my parent. And why did you stop thinking creatively just now? Because it was discouraging. I don't want to have to do all those things. And which part of you said that you had to? My parent. Do you see how subtly your parent entered your thought processes and cut off your creativity? Oh God, that's really awful. I hardly even got started and my parent cut right in. That's right. And remember, you learned to operate that way. However, you can relearn it and do it differently if you want. You're saying that I learned to cut in and stop myself whenever I had a creative idea? Yes, well, all parent behavior is learned. What happened when you were young was that whenever you had a creative idea, your mother or father would immediately cut in and evaluate it, usually in a negative way. How can you be sure of that? I'm sure because I'm a Martian. But you don't have to accept my word for it. If you watch your behavior, you can be certain that something like that happened because there's no other way you could have learned to act like that. You mean that since it's part of my automatic behavior, I had to learn it somewhere? Where I learned it isn't as important as the fact that I'm presently doing it, and I can relearn it if I want to? Right. Okay. I see what you mean. I'll keep my eye open for it in the future and try to work on it when it comes up. All right. What are you thinking about right now? I'm thinking that I should look for some alternate ways of being creative, since the ones I came up with won't work. I have to find some different subjects to think about. Do you hear your parents saying you should look for alternative ways and that you have to find some different subjects? Yes, I do. If you stay in your parent, will you find any? No, I won't. They have to come from my natural child. But what I want to know is what direction should I look in? Before I respond, let me ask you a question. How are you keeping yourself stuck? By staying in my parent. Okay. That's important for you to know and for you to remain aware of. There's nothing I can do unless you take responsibility for getting out of your parent. Oh, you mean that you could really say almost anything, and if I was still in my parent, it wouldn't do me any good? Right. But I'm not sure how I get into my parent. I don't know what it is that I should stop doing. What was your parent telling you when you got hung up about needing to become an architect or a musician? Hmm. My parent was pushing me. It was saying I'd better hurry up. Oh, wow. I thought I'd gotten over that. It was saying that I'd better hurry up or I'd never work this all out. Do you hear the urgency in it? Yes. And I know what you're going to suggest. If I take the urgency out, if I stop trying to push myself, I'll automatically get out of my parent. Good. But I still think I have a legitimate question. I just found myself thinking creatively about a couple of subjects that won't do me much good. How do I find some subjects that will do me some good? Do you hear yourself asking for a parent response? Oh, well, I was trying to word my question carefully, but I did try, I guess, in a sort of roundabout way to get you to say how I should do something. Yes, but I've asked you questions like that before and you've answered me. That's because there was no other way to talk to you. Your conversational patterns were very primitive. In fact, they still are. So why not continue? Why not just answer me? It won't do you any good. You can't be told how to turn on your natural child. Your natural child turns itself on when it knows it won't be interfered with by your parent. Can't you even give me a hint about what direction to look in? I've already done so. I've said to stay in your natural child. Your natural child will find a direction. But I've already been in my natural child and it didn't work. It didn't work because you got into your parent and stopped it from working. But I need help. Is that how you got people to help you when you were young? What, by saying I needed help? Of course it was. No, by first getting stuck and then saying you needed help. What do you mean? They're both the same thing. No, they're not. People usually won't help you unless they see that you're stuck. It's much more effective to get stuck first than to merely ask for help without being stuck. Well, but why would I ask someone to help me if I weren't stuck? That's exactly my point. It's easier to justify it when you appear to need help. Why ask someone to help you at all? To get out of the dilemma, naturally. You can get out of the dilemma by yourself. What do you say? That I shouldn't talk to people? No, I'm saying that if you use getting stuck as a justification for getting people to talk to you, you'll prevent yourself from thinking things through by yourself. You'll continue to wait to get rich. You'll wait until other people talk to you or help you instead of just going ahead and getting rich by yourself. You mean I've been using the need to talk to people as an excuse to justify waiting? Exactly. Wow, that's heavy. How could you tell? By watching you and seeing what happened. You became stuck and told me you needed help. Then by talking to me, you didn't get past your stuck point. You mean I didn't have to get stuck? Getting stuck happens occasionally. What you didn't have to do was ask for help. You could have backed up or tried another direction without asking someone else to suggest something. Hmm, that's very interesting. If we connect this up to the life plan I'm supposed to have, it's as if part of my plan has been to wish for this freedom and money that I've been talking about. And another part has been to make a real struggle out of it. I take one step forward and then I wait. I make a stab in a new direction and then I look around for someone to help me. I'm like a 5-year-old. And that's about how old you were when you started putting the plan together. Most of the things you're changing are things you've been doing the same way for a long time. Okay, but does this mean I won't be able to talk to you anymore? If I have to stop looking for help from other people at my stuck points, does it mean that we can't have any more conversations? No, you can talk to me. You just can't do it when you're stuck. You'll need to pass the stuck point by yourself. Oh, I see what you mean. And all of a sudden, I'm not stuck anymore. I remember I was saying I'd thought about building a house on this piece of land and improving the beat in a certain song I liked, but that I couldn't do either because I couldn't become an architect or a musician. And that's when I stopped myself. Right. And now I'm not stuck anymore. I just figured out what I can do. If I don't stop myself, I can just continue doing the same thing I was doing, but on a wide variety of subjects and just for the fun of it. After a while, I'll probably hit on something that really turns me on. Then I can concentrate on it rather than continue to think randomly. Fine. That's as good as an approach as any. How did you get past your stuck point? I don't know. It was a cumulative effect. It was as if all the things I'd been learning suddenly gelled. All of a sudden, I just knew that my parent had been stopping me. And that instant, I was back in my natural child. Congratulations. Comments. When people first discover they have a life plan, they typically try to uncover their early decisions by delving into their past and speculating about where they seem to be going in the future. They hope that by uncovering these decisions, they'll be in a better position to decide whether or not they want to change them. While this approach seems logical and sometimes helps people understand how they got the way they are, it seldom helps them uncover the decisions they need most to change, and it rarely helps them to change them. Trying to uncover each and every decision you've ever made is like going on an archaeological expedition. And even when you do find a decision, you usually won't know what to do with it. The only effective way to decide which decisions to change is by looking at what you're doing in the present and by asking yourself, what am I doing right now that I want to do differently? In this way, you not only find decisions to change, but you also actively change them and know that you've changed them simply by changing what you do. Life is very much a continuum. What you've decided in the past has brought you to the present, and what you decide in the present about your present actions will take you to the future. By changing what you do now, and often changing a past decision in the process, you can redirect the future course of your life in any way you please. Thus, whenever Earth Person talks about changing his life plans, Martian's approach is not to discuss the plan or the past, but to bring Earth Person back to the present and examine how he's operating at that very moment. Do you hear yourself? What are you feeling? How does this serve you? Most of us experience life as victims, as if we have no control over what's happening to us. What usually escapes us is that we spend most of our time positioning ourselves or setting ourselves up so that things happen around us in ways that we intend. In this chapter, Earth Person has a vision of how he'd like his life to turn out, living a full life, living to 80, etc. But another part of him, his adult, knows that things may not turn out like that unless he does some changing. Earth Person's life plan opens several paths to him, depending on how he positions himself in the near future. One path, the one he's currently traveling on, leads to an ending that isn't as pleasant as the one he'd like to have. The other, more desirable path requires Earth Person to do some repositioning of himself before he can follow it. This situation isn't unusual. Most of us have life plans that permits repositioning in midstream, if only we're willing to do it. The fascinating thing about this possibility is that the clearer you are about how you'd like your life to be, the greater the likelihood of your making it come true. This holds true not only for the long-term outcome of your life, but also for the interim hopes and dreams along the way. The more real your dream is, the more complete, detailed, and vivid, the easier it will be to make it come true. The more you learn to use your natural child, the greater your chances of increasing the realness of your dreams. A key aspect to many life plans has to do with our timing of events, when they'll happen, and how we'll plan for them. Earth Person apparently makes such decisions on the basis of the concept after. He waits until after he moves to save some money. He waits until after he saves some money to think about his next move. Others of us use notions like until, never, always, over and over, and open-ended. I won't examine it until. I'll never examine it. I'll always examine such things. I'll examine them over and over, but I won't necessarily act on them. I won't make any plans to examine them, but I might examine them if they happen to come up. Check yourself out to see which of these notions is your habitual response. Once you discover it, you'll also be able to uncover the many ways in which it limits your progress.